Good morning and welcome to this segment of the service, and we're going to be talking about relationships and marriage. And this morning I have with me three amazing individuals who are going to be sharing with us their experiences and their outlook on relationships and marriage. My name is Joy Opuda, and I'm happy to be here this morning. Okay, to my immediate right is... Please introduce yourself.
My name is Yinka Adelanwa.
My name is Oluwatobiloba Agbebi.
And my name is Sheun Duro Ishola.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for making time to be here this morning. It's going to be an amazing time, right? It's going to be really, really awesome because this is one topic that nobody can escape.
No.
I mean, we're always having to interact with people, and we have relationships in different places.
Yes.
And of course, everybody here, I believe, is married. All right. So we're going to be talking in those directions right now. So they say that your network is your net worth. Right? And it's also very vital to remember that without relationships, we really cannot do anything as individuals. Okay, so I want us to start from the workplace and then relationships outside of the home. Okay, how do you handle it when you have difficult people that you work with or difficult people that are around you? You know, and I'd love for Pastor Sheun to start to start out on that discussion. Okay, and let's take it from this perspective or from this angle. You know, you have a co-worker or an employee. No. In this case, a co-worker. You know, maybe your boss who constantly talks to you about other people in a bad light. How do you deal with that, knowing that you're a believer and you have to walk in love? What's the deal? And also remember that right now, you know, our evangelism strategy, so to say, the way that we reach out to our world, the way that we shine as lights, is going to be mostly through our conduct. We don't have physical services, you know. So I'd just love for you to maybe take it from there.
Okay, so now if you have a boss or a colleague who talks to you about other people, particularly in a bad light, now obviously that is not a good thing, because that person talking to you about somebody else, you can be rest assured that he's also talking to other people about you. Because trust really is what drives relationships, right? If I can trust you, you can trust me, then we can relate, all right? Now if your boss is talking to you, you may not really have that chance or that space to say, no, sorry, I can't have this conversation, because sometimes you have to just, out of respect, listen and so on. But the Bible says that if sinners entice, they consent thou not, right? So there's a sense in which I can, I don't have to flow in this conversation, I don't have to respond and so on. And since communication is a two-way thing, if I'm not talking back, I'm not contributing to this conversation, over time, you'll realize that, okay, it looks like I shouldn't be having this conversation with this person, right? All right. So, and then if I'm required to act on what you have said, and I tell you, you know what, can we rather go in this different direction, right? Because if you also keep silent only as a strategy, it's also a problem. Yeah. So you should come up with another view. Okay, shouldn't we be looking at this person in this light? Shouldn't we take this action? Because by doing that, what you are telling that person is, you know what, you are seeing things from this angle, but there is also another way by which we can see things, and so you're passing across a message, telling this person, you know what, I think we shouldn't be having this conversation, or we should treat this person in a different light and so on. So I think it is not okay for you to keep silent only as a strategy, but you should just offer your own opinion, particularly based on the word, based on your belief system. This is what God will require me to do in this situation. But nodding your head only or going in the flow is not going to help.
Yeah. I find that very, interesting, because we also need to probably think about the fact that there are times when someone needs to be, or certain things need to be addressed.
Yeah.
They're not going well and they need to be addressed. But when it is consistent, when it happens all of the time, when this person only wants to talk about people in that sort of light, then it needs to be addressed. I believe that's what I got from, Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah. Now, sometimes in, appraising, your junior colleagues, you are the supervisor, you are the manager at work or whatever, and there is a subordinate or a colleague that you need to appraise, and something is coming out from his or her appraisal consistently. I think being objective, being principled is very key. Call the person, give the person feedback. And then particularly if this feedback is consistent in your appraisal all through, what you shouldn't do is withhold that information or talk about it behind the person. It becomes a gossip. It becomes you're gossiping, right? So if you give the person the feedback, in fact, just like I said earlier, it breeds trust, a situation where I can trust this boss. I've had people, even though they gave me a negative feedback about me, but because they were bold enough to tell me, I was also bold enough to go back to them and say, okay, what do you think? Am I making improvement? And so on. Am I changing? And so on. So that's giving people feedback, honest feedback. Sometimes when people talk about people, behind their back is also a sign of insecurity. You can't address that person. You can't approach that person. So it's just good to give people an honest, objective opinion, appraisal from, your interactions with them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. This is really profound, because I find that these are not things that people are comfortable talking about, but they're very important for our relationship management across board. And I saw Oluwatobiloba nodding vigorously. So you're welcome. And I'm going to you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to add to what he has said.
You're going to have an opportunity to even say much more, actually. But please go ahead.
Yeah, I want to add to what I think there was a time when I was still very much in the corporate space. I had this boss that is a male boss. So all of us in the office space were more like, it was more of a female than male. So he had a lot of problems with my female colleagues, and he would come back to meet me that, can you see what this person did? He would talk at length with me. But once he sees the person, he goes mute. And over time, I started talking to people that, okay, this person complains about this particular person all the time. What can I do to just break down the bridge between the two of them and make them make amends, because it's already affecting the job. Okay,
so sorry, you were talking to which people now? Those in your office or
not those in my office?
People?
Just other people outside the office space, just to get instructions or advice on what to do, because at the time the boss already has a lot of problem with other people in the office. So what I did then was I told my boss that, okay, this person you're complaining about every time, I think it's high time both of you sit down, talk about it. This person that is behaving this way, there's every possibility and tendency that she does not even know she's doing the wrong thing. So it's better you sit the person down, tell the person, this is what you're doing, I don't like it. It is affecting our job. It is affecting our relationship as boss to employee. So let's break down the bridge and make amends. This is what I want. This is how I want you to do it. Okay, tell me if you can do it or not. Okay, what other ways can you do it that, all of us will benefit from it? So talking about it is very key. And like he said, communication is a two-way thing. And at the end of every communication, you get feedback. Yeah. You don't just talk and don't get feedback. Yeah. That means you're just talking. You're a radio. In fact, radio these days gets feedback. Yeah. So when you talk to people, when you have that effective communication, the person would come and meet you. Oh, okay. Am I improving? Yeah. Those are the feedback you want to hear, so that the particular thing you complained about, the person has corrected it, and you start seeing solutions. You start seeing a new result from that effective communication. It's about effective communication, not just communicating. Yeah. Because some people would push blame, they would insult people, and they say they've communicated. No. You communicate to the person as an adult, not as a child. So communicate effectively. Let the person know, okay, this is where I have gone wrong. Then the person will make amends from there.
Fantastic. This room is literally buzzing with light. Yes, sir, please go ahead.
I also want to look from a different angle. Let's look at when you're the boss trying to deal with a difficult employee.
And then you're going to talk about that, and I want you to also talk about when you get negative feedback. How do you deal? And this is why it is very important. And I think that it must be talked about, because when you look at the workspace,
Yeah.
most of the problems come from relationship
Yes.
management.
Yes.
For people who are already skilled and proficient at their jobs, one of the reasons why they probably may not rise higher
Very
than where
true.
they are
Very
is
true.
in this particular
Yes.
issue, where
Yes.
this is concerned.
Yes.
You know, so it's really important to address it. You know, so you're going to talk about the boss if you need to address something with, you know, your subordinate, and then if you are receiving feedback, how do you deal? How do you handle? And then let's just piggyback off what she said, you know, where you need to be objective. You need to be objective with giving that feedback. The person needs to know that it's about work.
Work, yeah.
It's
Nothing
not
more.
a personal attack. It cannot be a personal attack, you know. So please go on, sir.
Okay. One of the things I've also found out is that sometimes we let it just only, I'm going to pick from what you said, we let it just only be about work, about what we're handling. But sometimes the issue isn't really
Beyond
even
that.
from there. It goes beyond that.
Okay.
Sometimes they are facing some personal issues that sometimes just an advice. Okay, case in point, during this COVID season, some people were having some sloppy jobs done. Now, it wasn't their normal operations. You needed to now find out from the person, why are you like this? What's going on?
Yeah.
Is there something wrong in the home space? What is really happening? Is it that we need to help you with something and all that?
So you are
That-
talking from the position of the
The
superior.
employer.
Yes,
Or
the employer or the...
Or it could even be a
But
colleague.
what
It
if
could
your
even
boss
be a-
doesn't do that?
Okay, we'll still, I think I'll touch that. Now, in asking those questions, it helps you to be able to have a human face that allows even the work space to now function properly. So being able to have that beyond the work, you are my person, you are my tribe, you are in my nation. It allows the person to feel a sense of belonging, and they will give much more. So that for the bosses should be something they are even doing during this period. Not just only looking at the situation and saying, no, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Find creative ways. You don't cross your boundaries, but systematically find ways of, okay, are you okay? In fact, my wife had a situation whereby she was calling someone, and we later found out the person had a personal situation going on. But she was answering the calls, doing everything as if nothing happened. When we got to know, she called back and said, I'm giving you a major thumbs up because you acted professionally, yet you were in a crisis at home.
Wow.
So such things like that. But then after that, she later called back and said, what's going on? And prayed with her. That prayer, just that little thing made the person feel, wow, and will give much more. Now, if I'm the one taking a negative feedback, like I've taken many times, so I'll give you a practical example. Most people that know Pastor Inka are more of a talker than someone that writes down. Then when I got into a position, yes, I prefer to talk. If you send a chat to me, I'm going to pick up the phone and call you.
Whoa.
I'm not planning
Well,
to
yeah.
write all those
Okay.
chats. So you would have
Okay.
noticed I don't really, if I'm chatting, I pick up the call. When I see I've chatted the first 2 lines, you give me another one, chat the second one, I'm picking the call. Hello, how are you doing? Let's finish that discussion there so that I can move on to something else. Not because you're not,
Interesting.
I
Okay.
believe you're important enough for me to set out time and talk to you. Now, in the situation we are looking at where I was given a negative feedback, I don't like writing. Then I'm put in a position where I have to give reports and give it consistently and make sure that the reports are accurate. Obviously, I was having issues trying to put things together, have everything in place. And one day, my boss called me up and said, hello, you can't continue this way. You are good on your job. I know that, but you don't deliver reports. It is a no-no. I said, sir, I'm working on it. No, you are not working on it. This is what you will do. So I took that negative feedback and I told myself, the best thing for me to do is to improve. Anytime I'm given a criticism, a feedback that is not nice, I take the major core of that criticism and find out how can I improve myself on it. I keep working desperately to improve. I don't take it as a personal attack at myself. I take it as...
Okay, so I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want you to really address that, because we all don't like negative feedback.
Yeah.
No matter how mature you are, you don't like negative feedback. And the first inclination is for you to feel bad.
And then now fight back.
Or retreat. I mean, different people react in different ways.
Yes.
You know, but how do you address that?
Okay.
How do you, we're going to move on to something else, but I want you to quickly, you know, just zoom in on this and say, okay, before I can now take that feedback and improve, I have to probably deal with whatever negative emotions may come out of that experience, especially if the person who gave me the feedback was not very tactful about it.
Okay, so,
you know,
one of the things I've had to learn, because I keep, in quotes, getting negative feedbacks on different things, because I'm always on a journey trying to improve.
Interesting.
So, one of the things I was told, okay, let me not mention directly, what I had to do was tell myself, your perception is not me.
Okay. So you have a strong self-esteem.
I have
love that.
decided to believe what God says about me.
Okay.
And now take that. When you give me a negative feedback, I take it, work on it. I'm not seeing it as a personal attack. I'm seeing it simply from what you just said. You just spoke. Your perception is not me.
Okay.
You say I'm sloppy. Yes, that's your perception. I will improve.
Okay.
The next time you see me, you won't call me sloppy.
Okay.
You won't say, oh, this person did this. No, I'm going to work on myself, because I know the capacity within me is Christ.
Okay.
So
That's
there's no
beautiful.
limitation. So it's that I've not yet expressed Christ in that particular aspect. That's why you are giving me a
I love
criticism.
it. I love it. I absolutely love it. This is just like a marriage, a combination, a coming together of our, you know, in Him understanding and revelation, and the way that we handle natural relationships.
Yes.
So you could have an image of yourself based on God's word, and your output is slightly different, or maybe not slightly, maybe it's very different. So, you know, there was something that you said that, you know, really just brought that out into the light. And that's the fact that you've received many feedbacks, or you've received much negative feedback, which, I mean, the way you said it so comfortably, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, to be able to move from that poor output to the image that Christ has of me and that is in Scripture, I need to receive feedback to improve.
Yes. If you
Even
don't
Jesus,
receive feedback,
even Jesus asked at the time, "Who do men say that I am?"
Yeah, we needed the
So
at the
feedback is
time.
important, and
Yeah.
I mean, the disciples gave him different feedback. Some say you are Elijah, some say you are this. Eventually, he narrowed it. He said, "Who do you say that I am?"
Yeah.
Right?
Awesome.
Of course, Jesus knew who he was.
Yes.
But it's
And that's
also
important.
that who you are eventually comes out, and that's what people see.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's what is called image, really.
Yeah.
So it's very important also. So you know who you are. So until the person you are on the inside is exactly what people see, you have work to do.
You have work to
Awesome.
do.
Awesome.
Very-
Awesome. Until the person you are comes out on the outside,
You have a lot
you
of
have
work
work to do. I feel like saying it three
That's
times.
the room of improvement. That's the room of
Until the person you are comes out on the outside, you
work
have work
Yeah.
to do. Fantastic. Thank you so much. I mean, I feel so blessed already.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so we're quickly going to go on to something else, you know. And this really is still about relationships outside of marriage, okay? But it has to do with integrity. So you have a neighbor who's constantly coming to ask you for money. Or maybe it's not your neighbor, maybe it's your co-worker again, you know, anyone you like. All right, but who's always coming to ask for money? And so the first time, you know, their child hadn't eaten, you gave them. The next time, they didn't have cash. They didn't, you know, they have money in their account, but they didn't have cash, so you gave them. The next time, it was something else, and then it's going on for too long. How do you deal with that kind of a situation? You know, now bear in mind that this neighbor or co-worker, you're trying to be a principled, you know, Christian, you know, a Christian in demonstration.
Yeah.
What's that? An example.
of Christ.
How do you deal with that, Pastor Yinka?
Okay.
please go ahead.
I actually have a real life experience on this. In my office, in our agency, we usually have various things that we spend money on and all that. I got in and felt, okay, when I hear this person doesn't have, okay, let's do this. Let's make sure it shouldn't show outside that anything is going on. And after a point, after a year, to be quite candid,
Wow.
I had done.
That's
So you have a
long
special
time.
place in heaven.
No, I don't.
That's
I don't.
a long time.
I actually could not. I didn't actually realize I had moved over to whereby I was the ATM.
Oh, wow.
Just go meet him, he'll
would-
help
he
you
would-
out. Go meet him, he'll help you out.
Just cash out.
So I got an understanding, and then I actually addressed and said, sorry, it seems I have been more or
Okay,
less.
so you spoke to everybody?
Yes.
Wow.
I
Please,
had
how did that, I'm trying to picture, how did that happen? You called a meeting?
No.
Okay.
We usually have meetings.
Okay.
And sometimes I'm called upon to anchor it. So during the opportunity I had to anchor, I spoke to them and said, something has been going on. And it seems as if I have unduly taken advantage. You have to be tactful. I've taken advantage of you people. I've not allowed you to grow. I've not allowed you to be able to handle your
my
situations. So from now on,
Somebody hold me
you are
here.
going
Wow.
to have to find creative ways of helping yourself. So I told them, obviously, that means I won't be doing what I used to do. That means it will only be in obscure situations that I will ever have to pay for this or do this or do this. I think everyone needs to find a way to do that. So I had to come from that tactful point, because I knew if I said, you people have been seeing me as an ATM guy, and so from today, it ends. I'm not going to be,
it's gonna go
everybody is
wrong.
going to start hitting me from that. You're a Christian. You are pastor, for
Yeah.
heaven's sake. Pastor is supposed to keep giving. In fact, I've had situations whereby, even in the office, you're a pastor, you're supposed to give me. I said,
Whoa.
why am I supposed to give you? Jesus wants you to give me. I said, he didn't tell me. When he tells me, I will
How
give.
evil, girl.
I had to put my foot
Somebody
down.
actually came out to say
Yes,
that.
I had to put my
Amazing.
foot down
Wow.
because I understood where it was going. If I allowed that to happen, the next set of people will come.
Yeah.
So I had to say no. Now, are there cases whereby we still help? Obviously, as a Christian, you will help. But there are genuine cases whereby, case in point, there was a time I actually took out 2,000 out of my 3,000 naira that was in the pocket and gave to a particular guy, believing he did not have funds to go. Only for me to find out when he had left that my boss had actually given him 15.
Wow.
I had
Glory
only
to
3.
God.
I gave out 2. So when I now told my boss said, Anshibi, you are the Father Christmas of the agency. I said, no,
Amazing.
I reject that. I'm not taking it anymore. So sometimes you just have to find creative ways of helping people.
I remember something my elder brother said to me several years ago, more than 20 years ago, really. I was just always nice, helping people. And he told me, so I had done my niceness to an extreme, and it was to the detriment of his own, situation at that time. And he put me aside and said to me, he said, Sheung, niceness is not a fruit of the spirit. Learn to say no when you have to say no, right? So it doesn't mean that we are not good, right? It doesn't mean that you are not kind, but sometimes saying no may actually be what will help this other person to get it right.
Interesting.
But if you continue, one thing God has often told me is that nobody gets rich on welfare, right? Welfare
Nobody
is a stopgap
gets rich
on welfare. Welfare is a stopgap, right? Welfare is a stopgap to where you want to be. The abundant life is God's will for us, not welfare, right? So if we keep doing this and we don't look for opportunities to also teach these people, correct these people, tell people, plan yourself. Some things don't happen on you suddenly. If there are emergencies, we'll all rise up together. But some things are not emergencies. They were just plain, you did not plan. That's just it, right? So I've helped you once, helped you twice. It's becoming a pattern now.
Thank you.
Cut it off.
In the light of this, sorry,
Okay.
Pastor Sheung.
And then you just begin to wrap it up because I want to ask
in the
you
light
one more
of this,
question
I
before we
remember
go.
when I was still very much at my parents' place. We had this neighbor that he would get his wife pregnant, a whole 9 months
Thank you.
to prepare.
9 months.
It boils down to preparation, proper preparation and planning.
Yeah.
A whole 9 months. It is on the day of delivery. He will start looking for delivery fee. He will start looking for money to buy stuff for the baby.
Yes.
And
Baby
he
clothes.
had 9 months to plan. In fact, some it's 10, some other 11 months. So at the
Not
point,
11 months of pregnancy, I hope.
at the point, my parents, they were already tired. Every time you come back, things that you could have planned for, house rent, hospital bills, you know, you plan for even the unforeseen things. So he had 9 months. The last one he did, my dad just looked him in the eye straight and told him, you had 9 months to plan for this child. This child is not, in fact, Jesus Christ, we knew he's coming. His mom was pregnant, obviously pregnant of him, and they prepared for his coming. So don't just tell me this pregnancy just got attached to your wife yesterday night. You had 9 months to plan for this. I am not helping
So
you.
it boils down to planning.
Planning, proper
Seriously.
planning.
Yeah.
I think
People
that
don't
what we
plan their
probably
money.
need to do,
They don't
you
plan
know,
their time, they don't plan their finances.
for people, besides just doing handouts,
Yes.
it's probably to
Sit them down, teach
train
them how
and
to
teach.
plan for
Yes.
all their resources.
Probably navigate them to resources that may be helpful.
Yeah.
You know, particularly if you notice that the first time I gave you a loan, you didn't return it. The second time I gave you a loan, you didn't return it. It got converted to a grant or something.
So usually
you
it's
know. So the next thing would be to begin to teach, because if people know what to do, people do what they know to do most of the time. If they know better, they will do better. So oftentimes they probably just don't know better.
Yeah.
We can safely assume that. Well, this has been really fantastic. I think we can have maybe one more question just before we go. And that's really to do with people in a marital relationship. How do you harmonize your desires and needs? So you find that many times they say that opposites attract. And so this person is, you know, a spender and this other one is a saver, or this person likes glitz and glamour and this other one just wants everything to be simple. So let's take a very practical situation. One person wants, I mean, it's just fine with, let's just have degrees, BSc, it's fine. And then the other person is saying, a PhD, PhD or nothing else. You know, I just want one person, probably Toby, to talk about that. How do you harmonize
Interestingly,
your
I had this conversation with my husband yesterday. He's wrapping up his master's, and I haven't done mine. So he has a lot of friends that are done with their PhD at a very much younger age.
So this is your own experience?
Yes, my own. It
Fantastic.
happened yesterday, as a matter of fact. So
Whoa.
he just woke up.
I can't wait to hear it.
And he just walked up to me and said, this person is graduating next month. I'm like, okay, where is this story going to? So he says, probably when I'm done with my master's, I want to go do my PhD. So you should start thinking about doing your own master's and probably do your PhD. I was like, okay. So that they will call you doctor and call me Dr. Mrs. or what's the motive behind this going to do PhD? And to me, personally, I don't think there's a need for it. But he is the career person. He wants, my wife has to be called Dr. Mrs. My wife has to be done this. So I told him no. That, see, it is your calling. It is not my calling. I can as well accept or agree to doing my PhD, and at the end of the day, I'll be useless with it. So it has to do with what can I do with the one I have. I should be able to do something with the one I have first. Then I'll have the motivation to do step further.
And do more.
It is until I have the motivation to take a step further ahead and I'll say, okay, I want to do my master's and do PhD. There's nothing wrong with doing master's and PhD, but you should have a reason. Not just because you want to be called Dr. Mrs.
Did you both conclude that conversation?
We concluded.
Oh, he's going to hear it when he watches this.
We concluded because I told him it would be a waste of money. Because what's the point getting a PhD certificate that is lying under the bed? Does not make any sense.
All right.
So let me
But that's really awesome. The fact that you need to do something with what you have first,
Yeah, exactly.
before you can step
there
out
should
to
be
do
a
more.
reason for getting
Okay.
that certificate before I step into it. Not that I just want to collect it so that people around me can know I have PhD. That is what many people do these days.
So let's bring it together now. Number one, when there is you know, a disparity in our desires.
Yeah.
We need to come to a central point, and we need to be objective with that and communicate.
Communicate, yeah.
Fantastic. So you both sat together, and then you were
communication.
comfortable enough to say, look, these are my opinions about this, you know, and then you came to, you know, an
agreement.
That's great. And I love what you said about the fact that you need to do something with what you have first.
Yeah.
You need to do something. So don't look for what is not available. Even if I like glitz and glamour, and what we can actually presently afford, not what our faith can carry.
Yes.
What we can presently afford is simple. Then let's stay with simple.
Yes.
And I think
On
that's
the
really,
way
you know, the bottom line of this, to say, work with what you have first
before
on the
you
way
move,
to where
yes.
we're going.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have to call it, you know, I don't know whether to use the word quit, but I'd love for us to give last words, you know, any last words that you have, anything that came to your mind or that you feel is important for us to note.
Well, okay. So
But please do it very quickly in about two to 3
I
seconds.
just want to encourage couples. Talking about those in you know, marriage. Husband and wife should grow together. Because sometimes the disparity between one party who has developed himself or herself and the other person sometimes can actually lead to problems. So this one party is growing so well, knows so much, is exposed, but the other person is just comfortable with what he or she has, right? So going by what Tobiloba said, right? Use what you have, but just make sure that you are not being mediocre, you're not being complacent, you're not just laid back. Grow together, because there is nothing worse than having a spouse I'm not proud of, right?
Yeah.
So we are talking, we are
I wish
discussing
you had
something.
another 1 hour to talk about that.
We are talking
But we really do
something,
have
but you
to
can't
stop.
contribute.
Okay.
We are amongst friends, and then because sometimes affairs. This is the way affairs start. When I'm not able to take you to where I'm going. Affairs, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, this is the way it starts. I'm not proud enough to take you to where I'm going. And usually, sometimes there's no vacuum in nature. And I find somebody else who stimulates my mind, who fills that void. I like to spend time with that person. So it starts out innocently, because all you know is, oh, where is, you know, just making demands, but you don't stimulate me. Your husband does not stimulate you. Your wife does not stimulate you. Don't be comfortable with that. Do something, bridge that gap.
Yeah.
Encourage each other. It's not just about academics. It's just attending a webinar, learn something about money, learn something about, you know, different things that pertain to life and godliness. Life and godliness. Some people just focus on godliness, but not life.
Yeah.
Some people focus on life and not godliness.
So we have to bring both together. We have to stop now.
Yeah.
It's been such an amazing discussion. I wish you had another I wish you had another hour to go along, you know, but I'm really certain that most people who would, if not everyone who would listen to this or watch it, would be as blessed as I've been. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so very much. Until next time, if there's a next time, God bless you.
God bless you too.
God bless you too.
Thank you.
All right.